Half-Life is a game that needs little introduction, but here's one anyway. Released in 1998, it shook up the FPS genre by taking the shooty bang bang and adding immersive storytelling to the action, seamlessly telling its narrative in an unobtrusive way. Its use of scripted sequences and set pieces was also much appreciated by gamers who'd spent too long blasting their way from one end of a level to another through increasing hordes of the same enemies. It spawned an equally successful sequel, episodic DLC, numerous spin-offs, as well as a threequel which, well, who knows what's going on there. As primarily a shooter though, it should come as no surprise that Half-Life has a vast arsenal of weapons for Gordon Freeman to use as he fights his way through the Black Mesa facility and beyond. Shotguns, grenades, experimental science weapons, alien gerbils, whatever this thing is. In other words, plenty of firepower to see the player through to the end of the game. But what if we didn't want to use all those weapons, and instead focused solely on a weapon we get so early it is almost immediately outclassed by every subsequent weapon Gordon finds? I am indeed talking about the 9mm pistol. So without further ado, join me as we find out, can you beat Half-Life with only a pistol?
My God, what are you doing?
Whilst the opening tram ride plays, I'll explain the rules. I can only kill enemies with the pistol. Now, there are a few exceptions to this, such as the Gargantua and the tentacle thing in Power Up and Blast Pit respectively, but these I shall dub more as cinematic kills. Furthermore, to conserve ammo, I will allow the use of the crowbar for breaking open boxes and obstacles, but never to attack anything. To balance this blatant disregard of the rules, I am playing the game on the hard difficulty, a decision which, after the fact, has reduced my overall lifespan by some 15 years. I'm also playing Half-Life's 25th anniversary version on Steam with the HD models enabled, in case you were wondering. I spot the G-Man, get impatient with Barney, cause a blue screen of death, and spot the G-Man again.
Gordon Freeman in the flesh.
Before getting my HEV suit, I ruin this man's lunch, spot an Easter egg, and is it me or is there something off about the HEV suit's voice?
Welcome to the HEV Mark for Protective System, for use in hazardous environment conditions.
After boogieing to the soundtrack, I finally make my way to the test chamber, say hi to Eli Vance, admire the sample that looks like cheese, and cause a resonance cascade. Obviously, the test is a failure, unless tearing open a portal to an alien border world was the goal, meaning it was actually a success, but things are now a little worse for wear. I take some serious damage on account of a laser, skip back downstairs to get a medkit I saw earlier, and am pleased to see the scientist was successful with his CPR. Well, he's half the man he used to be. I did initially try to ignore the crowbar, but you do need it to break this glass to progress, and breaking this glass gives these three men a sticky end. I accidentally take my first of many deaths shortly after, and take death 2 and 3 trying to dismount a ladder. It's not long before I finally get myself the eponymous pistol, and now I officially have all the tools I need to try and beat this challenge. I show off one of my main tactics for survival, avoiding unnecessary enemies, and the music cue here is timed perfectly to sum up the horror of the situation. I grab some ammo and HEV energy from this locker room, get jump scared whilst pissing about, and witness a scientist make an environmental kill.
Yes! 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 No! No! No!
I introduce myself to some hound eyes, lethally, spot the G-Man, speak to a talking dumpster, and get bitch slapped by a Vortigon. Something that will be helpful is getting a small health restore from scientists if your HP is below 50, especially as the hard difficulty reduces how much HP you get from the regular health dispensers, among other things. After starting up a lift that surely breaches multiple health and safety violations, it rains headcrabs on me, and after healing up, die. Second time round and a regular zombie joins in this time for some reason, but after some sniping I make it through with minimal additional damage.
Oh yeah, of course it hits me before dying. God damn it, Barb!
I witnessed this bull squid deal with the head crabs far more efficiently than I do, break a leg, and then break my neck. Twice. Office now, and after watching this scientist get nommed, I decide against buying a snack, shake my head at a colleague, and then fail to break open a door. I complete a physics puzzle, a staple of any Valve game, get into an altercation with a turret, deny myself a shotgun, and kill a family of head crabs. Now armed with a Barney, we get into a scuffle with some Vortigons, which results in no less than 4 deaths on account of how hard the Vortigons hit, but eventually I make it through with a bit of help from a different Barney. I stop for coffee, get to top up my health without these 2 boys getting aggroed, and crawl through a vent in Black Mesa's walk-in freezer. I watch this scientist do a funny dance whilst Barney shoots a zombie, spot the G-Man, let my colleague do the heavy lifting to save some ammo, and climb a shaft to the next level. Now we're at the point where a well-known skip could save me not only a lot of time, but also a lot of unnecessary deaths. So that's exactly what I do. Alright, fine. I'm sure this won't be a decision I live to regret. This is the part of the game where the roster of enemies gets increased to include soldiers, deployable turrets and trip mines, all of which would be a handful to deal with in a regular playthrough, but for someone playing on hard with only a pistol is something of a nightmare. After getting spit roasted by head crabs, I enter the slippy floor bit where I discover that even so much as touching the turret is enough to set it off, resulting in many frustrating deaths. After blowing up my colleagues, I finally make it to the next section where I'm introduced to the soldiers proper. Not only are they hit scanners, meaning I'm always going to take a pounding, they also take a lot of hits to put down. Unlike me. However, it's not all bad news, as their assault rifles use the same ammo as the pistol, so any overflow from that shall go towards my pistol ammo instead. I find a secret which allows me to top off my health and HEV before entering this Mission Impossible-esque hallway that didn't cause me any trouble at all. My next kerfuffle with the soldiers goes just as well, but I manage to make it to the surface by just running away. This appears to be the best tactic moving forward, as I simply don't have the health to take on an entire squadron right now.
Oh, for God's sake!
After working my way back through the vents like a snake, I finally make it back to the start of the level, push the button to complete it properly, I hope you're happy, and proceed on to Blast Pit. After a relatively uneventful tram ride, I failed to allow myself to be flung in the goo, fall in anyway, and climbing to a pipe. I'm careful not to shoot any of the barrels that would otherwise make traversing this area a nightmare, talk to a scientist which kills him, and witness another scientist get tentacled.
I'm a virgin.
Face to face with the hardest boss in the entire game myself now, and my attempts at getting to the various sections are met with numerous fast passes to the afterlife. Eventually I get through and can set about the task of restoring fuel and oxygen so we can barbecue the tentacle bros, dodge a zombie, push a button, and push more buttons to the dismay of the resident zombies. Back in the blast pit, and I make it to the next section without dying at all. Play peekaboo with a bull squid, and die. I meet a bipolar scientist.
With my brains and your brawn, we'll make an... I refuse to go another step.
Excuse me, what?
Push some more buttons. Starting to see a pattern here. And watch this scientist get bitch slapped. I climb the ladder from Snake Eater. Struggle to move a box, and make my way back to the control room without further incident. I sprain my ankle jumping down the Tentacle Bros hole, pick up a new gun I'll never use, top up my health and HEV at this river of slime,
It's a river of slime!
and fall back into the Black Mesa facility. power up now, and I have something of a large obstacle to surmount in the form of the hardest boss in the entire game, this Gargantua, as well as numerous vortigaunts and environmental hazards to deal with. It's not going to get any easier, is it?
No, it is not.
After a few more deaths, I find a naughty way of cheesing these vortigaunts, saving my ammo and sanity, which is quickly undone by this head crab.
Eu acho que eu sou belo homem doente.
My 62nd death was caused by a door of all things, serving as a premonition for all the pain and misery to come, but through perseverance I eventually make progress. Oh great, soldiers. After edging a turret, I go to town on some boxes, take on a squadron of army boys with disastrous results, and only through sheer force of will coupled with trial and error, along with a sprinkling of needing validation from strangers on the internet, do I make it through. No. Wait. I restart a generator by breaking some boxes, dodge a laser because everything in this damn facility is trying to kill me, and am spared a battle when the soldiers blow themselves up. Back up top with the hardest boss in the entire game, the blue chunky boy now, and after a few awkward deaths I managed to lead him to our second cinematic kill of the game. I move the track from the control room and try to put this Barney out of his misery, but apparently just make things worse. Yeah, sorry about that. I jump on the tram and go full steam ahead into one of the worst chapters of the entire game. The premise for On a Rail is really quite simple. You use the tram to work your way through the facility, occasionally changing tracks, killing soldiers and aliens, until you eventually launch a rocket into space. The reality for an exclusively pistol-wielding person such as myself, however, is utter chaos and misery. At the first major roadblock, I get into an altercation with a bull squid, which also somehow ends up derailing my tram. Then I decide to meander about a bit whilst figuring out what to do, often with undesirable results. I abuse the invisible loading transition boundary to kill a bull squid, deny myself a bomb, and witness a different bull squid die twice. After a casual 8 deaths, I finally remember where to go, make an alien jump, destroy the turret messing up my kill-death ratio, and hit the switch that'll allow me to progress. Oh look, more soldiers. Yay! It probably comes as no surprise that the rotating lift of doom was not a fun experience to endure, but if this challenge has taught me anything, it's that perseverance, RNG, and pixel-perfect shooting will usually see me through. Usually. 7 deaths later and I've made it to the next section where it's back to shooting aliens as well as humans, where I'm finding the delicate balance between exploring for health and ammo versus pressing on to the end of the levels a bit of a struggle. I take this amusing death and get to watch my tram nope itself out of there. Nope. Happily let the soldiers and aliens kill each other to weaken and thin their numbers, and find myself in a respectable position again. There are occasions in the game where the enemy AI simply does not react to being shot at certain distances or levels of player visibility, and it becomes a favourite tactic of mine moving forward, especially as the pistol has decent range and accuracy, which is about all it does have going for it.
Something died down here.
Yeah. Me. I kill the heavy turret soldier by shooting him in the backpack, find some secret HEV juice, and end up on a rail again. After a few deaths by rocket, I take out a group of vortigaunts wanting to ambush me with the good news about Jesus Christ, cause a man to lose his head, and my TikTok HEV suit predicts the future.
User death imminent.
Now we're at the bit where the game wants me to clear these explosive boxes with the remote bomb, but obviously that would be against the rules, so I need to get clever. Otherwise I'll have another tricky rotating lift of doom to contend with, and I don't want to contend with that. Knowing the boxes take 4 shots to explode, I shoot one of them thrice, hit the button to go down, and make the 4th shot just as I shrink out of the blast radius. jackpot. Now I can flank these soldiers and ride my tram in peace. I take my 120th death on my way to the rocket launch control room, but rather than explain how bad completing that entire section was, I'm simply going to show you instead. At least that's finally... After crashing into the Black Mesa septic tank, I free some trapped barrels, pick up a bunch of ammo for a weapon I can't use, get a health and HEV top-up, and abuse a barnacle to reach a ledge. I fall for the oldest trick in the book, have more trouble with a single Vortigaunt than it's worth, and die. I spot the G-Man, get bitch slapped some more and go ice skating. I survive Vortigaunt Corridor, get a useful bit of foreshadowing from Barney, and now have my introduction to one of the most annoying enemies in the game. Women. These spandex-wearing Black Ops babes are fast, deadly, and on hard difficulty even turn invisible, and all I've got to fend them off is a measly pistol. Taking them head-on is pointless, so I just make a beeline for the world's slowest lever, sprint to the end of the level, where at least nothing bad can happen to...
Get him. I see it.
Oh, why do I bother?
After waking up in the trash compactor sans all my weapons, I find a crowbar, break my neck, and re-enter Black Mesa despite having narrowly just escaped dying in it.
Oh, wait.
This Barney kindly sacrifices himself so I don't have to go too long without a pistol. I fall into a vat of acid until dissolved, and after reloading begin the arduous task of parkouring through this level. Now I will mention that pistol ammo was quite scarce during this section due to a lack of human enemies and caches, and by the time I enter this conveyor belt section you can see I'm down to a single bullet. I use single said bullet to clear a trip mine, only to then realise there is one more right around the corner. To my surprise, however, it is actually possible to jump the trip mine beam with the right timing, like so. However, at the start of questionable ethics, I hit my first major roadblock of the run. My sheer lack of ammo makes getting through this initial section absolutely impossible, to say nothing of my sheer lack of health either. The hound eyes are just too numerous, so I do the only thing I can and reload an older save and try and get back here by conserving as much health and ammo as possible. In a far better position now, I make it past the hound eyes on my first go, spot something that's only going to make my life harder very shortly, realise I am once again in an awkward spot ammo-wise, and sadly Barney is no use. Given the mix of soldiers and aliens in this section, it becomes clear to me very quickly I am going to need to employ the services of the alien grunt to do some killing for me, at least until I'm back on my feet ammo-wise. To that end, I lure it to where the soldiers are and let them have it, whilst bravely hiding behind a desk. Grunt killed and soldier numbers thinned, I tentatively press forward, watch this soldier commit a war crime, and again let the alien grunts and soldiers have at each other, whilst being strategically hidden. I show off my head crab dodging ability, witness this chaos, and get blown up. I pick up a gun that would make the remainder of this challenge far more fun, turn on the lasers whilst kerfuffling with soldiers, and cause further immense property damage to the Black Mesa facility. I rendezvous with these scientists in a room that looks inspired by the Saw franchise, and now set about the task of clearing a path so one of them can boop me out of the facility. That done, and with instructions to make it to the Lambda complex relayed, I step back outside, get back shot by a turret, and observe this body horror. It's been a while since I've died, so I rectify that several times, but make it to the other side of the dam in a respectable position. However, if this challenge has taught me anything, it's that things can change in seconds, and it's not long before my respectable position turns into one of death. This helicopter buzzing overhead is proving a nuisance, as well as the buried landmines in the sand, which collectively are rapidly moving my death counter from the high 100s to the low 200s.
Oh no!
After realising I had to turn a lever in the previous section to unlock the storm drain, I curse my stupidity, deal with these soldiers, and rapidly make my way back underground. At least we're out of danger. Oh, Jesus. Side of a mountain now, and we can add gravity to the list of things willing to kill me. I peekaboo kill a turret, pixel perfect murder some soldiers, and die. Many times. Like anything in this challenge, I usually trial and error my way forward, learning enemy placements and triggers until I get skilled or lucky enough to make it through to the next roadblock, and this section is no different. You can also tell how much I struggle with a part based on how many manual saves I have for it. After taking my 236th death, I finally make it to the storeroom with some health, HEV juice, and a rocket launcher I can't use, and brace myself for yet another bout of trial and error Olympics owing to the reintroduction of the helicopter. However, the helicopter is gone, making this final perilous climb to the next section far easier and not requiring me to take it on with a pistol. Now, this puzzled me somewhat, but after reviewing the footage, I think I know what happened. Whilst I'm in the storeroom here, you can hear the copter buzzing about, followed by a series of explosions, which at the time I took for a barrage of missiles, but given the buzz of the propellers ceases right after this, I now know it to mean it somehow glitched and blew itself up. Hey, I'm not complaining. It gave me enough grief earlier, so consider this karma. Maybe things are finally looking up.
Warning, vital signs critical.
Sacrificing a few incarnations of Gordon Freeman to get the lay of the land, I finally work out a strategy of camping at the garage behind the tank, where there is a cache of HEV juice, ammo and health, as the location of my last stand. I play chicken with some rockets until I lose, run headfirst into a trip line, get blown up some more, and take more deaths here than I'm willing to admit, courtesy of a sniper. Back in the safety of indoors, and I recoup some health, parkour some trip mines, and break some boxes with life-changing results. This fun room of instant death is something of a puzzle, one which I failed numerous times, although 2 occasions I'm blaming this head crab. Eventually I succeed and...
What is that? What the fuck is that?
After rendezvousing with Barney in the midst of a kill streak, I kill a turret by shooting its metal leg, say goodbye to Barney, and die. I begin another round of trial and error which consumes 11 more lives, get my own back on this goddamn machine, gain access to the armory which allows me to stock up on things I can't use, and try to outrun a sniper. What the hell? By the time I finally surmount this section, my death counter is desperately close to 300, and we've just exited the frying pan and jumped right into the fire. Whilst the alien grunts and soldiers are duking it out, I'm running around like an idiot trying to figure out what to do. Eventually I get Barney to open this door for me, which brings with it some much needed health and HEV juice, and I finally figure out you need to blow open a blast door to progress. At least there's not a corridor of endlessly spawning Vortiga.
I don't know what I expected.
An embarrassing amount of deaths later, I finally have a moment's brief respite, lose all the health I recovered and more, courtesy of alien gerbils, fall into an ambush, and die. I take the sneaky approach next time round, which works a treat, and enter another enemy gauntlet designed to make me question all my life choices. After much trial and error, I decide the best tactic in this situation is actually to just run past the grunts and take the health hit, and eventually this pans out better than I could have hoped. I continue the fine art of running away to give myself the best possible chance of survival, and luckily can rely on the aliens and soldiers killing each other to help me out, as well as the AI being unable to handle Gordon's immense Sigma levels. After this pipe demonstrates what happens to my arse after spicy food, I recruit a Barney who promptly dies, ending the game, twice, but in another universe survives and opens a door for me. At least I won't need to run for my life from a huge unkillable...
Oh, for the love of...
It takes me a while to find the right spots to destroy what I need to progress, and obviously I have to do this without calling an airstrike on the blue chonky boy either, as this gargantua does not require a mandatory cinematic kill. It doesn't go well. Eventually I land airstrikes on everything I need to and flee before the blue chonky boy catches me, and you can see here he is still very much alive as I flee down this corridor with the base collapsing around me. Forget about Freeman now, and the soldiers are finally realising if they can't kill a single scientist who only has a pistol, then they may as well pack up and go home. The aliens, however, are a bit more stubborn. I play Ring Around a Rosie with the alien gerbils, go for a swim, and climb a ladder. I make the mistake of touching this turret and make more mistakes by going swimming, taking my total deaths so far to 346. After surviving the previous section without further incident, I'm back on the surface where I'm immediately killed and watch a soldier have a Nam flashback. Pressing ever closer to the Lambda complex, I hop some goo, blow up a door, and begin a section that actually made me think I could go no further. After much perseverance and many deaths, I finally make it to the entrance of the Lambda core, so take the lift down into something different, but no less difficult, as now we're about to face the hardest bosses in the entire game. More women.
Damn women.
Again, the problem with the Black Ops ladies is their speed, their damage output, and the fact on this difficulty they turn invisible most of the time. I'm at about 50% health as it is, so have to rely on decisive action, accuracy, my own speed, and honestly, luck. I die 8 times before finally killing one of them, and you better believe I'm abusing quick saves to retain any advantage. I save again after killing a second, despite being at lower health, and it's even more deaths before I manage a third. After 23 total deaths, I finally managed to take out the last woman, top off my health and HEV at the dispensers placed strategically to tease me whilst I was being wiped to the floor with, and press forward knowing the worst is now behind me. Ah. That done, and I can finally enter the Lambda complex for real. Well, I would, except this scientist doesn't seem to want to open the door for me.
You had one job.
Finally inside, and this happens.
You don't look as if you have any trouble killing things.
I reload and resist giving into my inner voices this time, and now have to set about the task of flooding the core so I can reach the teleportation chamber. Naturally, this is not as easy as you may first imagine. What makes this section tricky is the respawning of hard-hitting enemies like grunts and vortigons, my rapidly decreasing health and HEV, and the growing scarcity of pistol ammo. Pump 2 now pumping, and it's time to do the same for Pump 1, only this is where I'm really starting to struggle. The Vortigaunt spawn zaps me, and then 3 grunts in the subsequent room all come together in perfect harmony to relinquish me of my health faster than I can say G-Man. I take my 400th death attempting to surmount this very obstacle, and succeed by peek shooting the grunt guarding the door and making a run for it. But not before this happens to me.
Try to sneak through the door, man. Can't make it. Can't make it. The shit's stuck. Out of my way, son! Door stuck! Door stuck!
Glitchy door problem fixed, I proceed to Pump 1 with only 4 HP and the challenges within, with the game auto-saving at a very inopportune time, resulting in much spawn camping from the Vortigons. I try again and have 12 HP this time, but the same problem persists, so I have to reload an earlier save yet again, but not before going swimming with a head grab. 3rd time's the charm, and I have 36 HP to play with now, and for brevity's sake, let's just say I made it after much effort and many deaths on account of stupid autosaves. That done, and you can clearly see I am in a bad shape in every conceivable way a man in my position can be. I have barely any health and even less ammo. After flooding the reactor, I notice there are some Vortigons hanging about, and I do not have enough ammo to even remotely engage with any hope of survivability. There's no more pistol ammo for me to collect, and this is where I sadly have to accept the first technical fail of this run. There simply is not enough ammo for me to proceed. However, as is standard for this channel, I feel like we've come too far to quit, so I use the console to give myself more ammo and press on nonetheless, as I still want to know, ammo issue notwithstanding, if it is possible to beat the game with only the pistol. Back in the flooded reactor, I climb my way up, spot the G-Man, and take my 440th death courtesy of Steam. Whilst weighed down with ammo again, I'm still not in any less danger than before, and this particular corridor takes me 8 more deaths to complete. I won't talk too much about the teleport rooms, as these are pretty standard puzzles not really made worse by being a pistol-only challenge, so all I shall add is I managed to collect most of the extra health and HEV juice I could, and only died 10 times before getting to the scientists in the main portal chamber. Huzzah. After stocking up on ammo, health, HEV juice and a long jump module, I am as ready as I'll ever be to cross into Zen to try and finish this challenge. But before I do that, I have to keep this scientist alive long enough to open the portal to even get to Zen, and this proves more difficult than I had anticipated. Long story short, the scientist is killed or I die a total of 6 times before I finally make it to Zen, and annoyingly my health, ammo and HEV have taken a beating to get this far.
God damn it!
Zen, for the most part, is a series of jumping-related puzzles with enemies interspersed within for extra challenge, and is often viewed as the weakest part of Half-Life overall, sort of like the body of the many in System Shock 2. It isn't long until I take my first death, and given the nature of this level, I have little qualms over quick saving after every minor victory or bit of progress made. One thing Zen does have going for it are these little healing pools, which, unlike the health dispensers, do not run out, so finding and abusing these will become my main method of staying alive.
A few moments later.
One short portal puzzle later, and it's time to face the hardest boss in the entire game, Gonarch, the mummy head crab. There's nothing tremendously special about this boss. Deal enough damage, move to a new area, rinse and repeat. I am lucky insofar as there being a healing pool available in 2 of the 3 arenas we fight in, meaning with patience and perseverance I do stand a chance. Of course, ammo has become an issue again, and it isn't long before I'm tucking myself away to technically fail the challenge again by giving myself more pistol ammo. Phase 2, I managed to find a cozy spot which causes Gonad's AI to scramble, so I can just sit here emptying clip after clip until she's ready to move to Phase 3. I have to restock on ammo before I do, however, netting us our 3rd technical fail. The final phase is the hardest as there's no healing pool available, and Gorlock is above me dropping baby head crabs like it's hot diarrhea. However, my first real shot at it and I beat her, dropping into the crater she leaves behind and being teleported to Interloper.
Hey, you. Finally awake.
It takes me a while to figure out this first section, and with such low health I have little room for error before being forced to restart.
Emergency. User death in.
After numerous deaths I find a healing pool, so camp around here slowly whittling down enemy numbers until it's safe for me to traverse the floating platforms. I do have to technically fail the challenge yet again to keep ammo supplies up as well, since all this death burns through 9mm bullets like nobody's business. After hitching a ride on a space manta ray thing, I make it to the next section with over 500 deaths to my name, but a steely determination to finish no matter what the personal cost to me. There's more cover here, so taking out the baddies from a distance is simple and, dare I say, even a bit fun. I get chased by a blue chunky boy, the fear of which costs me a handful more deaths, and look, it's clearly time to recycle old enemies as the tentacle bros are back. I make a run for the teleporter and make it to the factory portion of the level, where the overwhelming sense of this almost being over is pervasive and addicting. The Vortigaunts aren't immediately hostile, which makes a nice change, and the healing pools are swapped out for these healing tube things. Hostilities return in the next bit, and before long I'm camping in the healing tube, failing the challenge once more by giving myself more ammo. Little by slowly, with many trips back to my healing pod, I press forward, with only a few deaths deaths sprinkled in. I saw from a Half-Life speedrun it's possible to squeeze past these barrels without opening them to expose the grunts inside, and that's exactly what I do. It doesn't go well. After finally surmounting the previous section, I crawl through a tunnel that looks like a colonoscopy into a new area, and unsurprisingly, my death. Failing the challenge yet again, I find a new healing tube and through perseverance keep pushing forward with my trusty 9mm pistol, which so far had not failed to kill anything I pointed it at. I reflected upon this as I reached the penultimate portal before Nylanth, and on what a journey I had been through to get to this point. Half-Life truly deserves its spot as one of the most influential games of all time given its innovation and storytelling, and playing it thus far with only a pistol does nothing to detract from that. But we're not done yet. With just one last task left to complete, I enter the final portal to the hardest boss in the entire game. This is it. The final boss and the end of the challenge. The Nylanth isn't terribly difficult, but there is a method to beating it. Firstly, I have to destroy 3 crystals on the wall of his chamber, then shoot his body to open up his head cavity and shoot that crystal within. Simple, right? Well, yes and no. There are enemies dotted about the arena, my ammo is dwindling again, and Nylanth fires off portals that drop you into separate sections you have to fight your way back through. It's not long before I fail the challenge again by resupplying my ammo, but before long I'm back in the main chamber. After destroying the final crystal, I set about shooting Nylanth himself, and his health can be denoted by the number of orange orbs around his head and the amount of orbs he fires at the player. I take a few deaths here mainly at the hands of the Vortigons, as Nylanth's attacks are well choreographed and his green portals are easily avoidable if you sit behind these big pillars. Despite that, however, I do get transported to the second room, which doesn't last long, and even take a few deaths to Nylanth himself. Weakened enough for his head to start opening, I fail the challenge for the final time and begin my assault on his main weak spot. I suffer a few deaths with none more annoying than when I actually succeed in killing him for the first time, but on my next reload, this happens. After 541 total deaths, Nylanth is defeated with just a pistol, and I'm teleported to the G-Man. So there you have it, guys. Can you beat Half-Life with only a pistol? Well, technically, no, as there simply isn't enough ammo to go around. Although, would this still be the case on the easy difficulty? I'm in no rush to find out. Fundamentally, however, is it possible to surmount every enemy in the game, save the scripted cinematic kills? Absolutely. So I will leave it up to you to decide if you think this challenge was a success or not. I accept the G-Man's offer, which I suppose now means I have to do Half-Life 2, and the credits roll on an absolute gem of a game. Guys, if you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you want to keep in touch for future videos, please consider subscribing, and if you fancy a chat, please drop a comment below and I will always get back to you. I think the most recent poll has a decisive winner, so look forward to more Deus Ex content in the new year. But until then, all that's left to say is take care, guys, and I will see you in the next one.